Before it was a foundational piece of American music, it was a lonesome waltz written on a long drive home. But through an unlikely reinvention, it became a bridge between two worlds. This is the story of Blue Moon of Kentucky. Bill Monroe, born in Rosine, Kentucky in 1911, transformed American music as a mandolinist, singer, and bandleader of the Bluegrass Boys. Known as the father of bluegrass, he built a sound rooted in tight vocal harmony, driving rhythm, and high-energy instrumental interplay that would go on to define the bluegrass genre entirely. His song Blue Moon of Kentucky was first performed on the Grand Ole Opry in 1945 and recorded for Columbia Records in 1946. Originally written as a slow, graceful waltz in 3/4 time, Monroe said he was inspired while driving through Florida on tour, thinking about his home state and the imagery of a moon shining over Kentucky. But beneath the pastoral imagery was something more personal. The song was written during a painful period in Monroe's relationship with his longtime companion Bessie Lee Malden, who had left him for another man. She married that man just 9 days after Monroe's first Opry performance of the song. That private heartbreak gives the lyrics their specificity, with lines like, "Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue," and "Shine on the one that's gone and prove them true." Monroe himself referred to songs like this one as his true songs, and scholars today consider him country music's first great autobiographical singer and songwriter. Musically, the original version is defined by its simple but expressive chord movement and Monroe's sharp mandolin phrasing. His high, piercing tenor gives the song a haunting clarity that became central to the early bluegrass sound. The recording is also historically significant because it featured early appearances by Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, two musicians whose later departure from Monroe's band helped shape the next major evolution of bluegrass music. In 1954, the song took on a second life in a Memphis recording studio, and it happened almost entirely by accident. Elvis Presley had just been signed to Sun Records by producer Sam Phillips, and the young trio of Presley, guitarist Scotty Moore, and bassist Bill Black were struggling to find a suitable B-side for their first single. During a break, Black began mockingly playing the bass line to Blue Moon of Kentucky, imitating Monroe's high falsetto voice for laughs. Presley joined in. Phillips, listening from the control room, immediately rolled tape. What emerged was an up-tempo, 4/4 time rockabilly arrangement that transformed Monroe's gentle waltz into something driving, raw, and entirely new. Phillips knew instantly what he had. "That's a pop song now, nearly about," he said at the end of an early take. The significance of that moment is difficult to overstate. Rock and roll was not born from a single song or a single artist, but from a collision of traditions that had been building for decades. African American blues, rhythm and blues, and gospel provided its emotional directness and rhythmic foundation. And country music, particularly the driving energy of artists like Monroe, provided its structure and melodic sensibility. What Presley and Phillips did in that Memphis studio was bring those two worlds into direct contact, creating something that neither tradition could have produced alone. The result was a sound that would reshape American popular music more profoundly than anything since ragtime. Within a few years, rock and roll had pulled an entire generation of young Americans away from the musical traditions that had come before, rendering country, jazz, and even early pop suddenly old-fashioned in the ears of the young. The music industry, American culture, and the very idea of what a popular song could be were permanently changed. Monroe himself initially welcomed Presley's version, viewing it as proof of his music's strength and adaptability. He even re-recorded Blue Moon of Kentucky himself in a 4/4 time arrangement, echoing the Presley treatment. But the enthusiasm faded as the scale of the shift became clear. Rock and roll didn't stop at borrowing from country music. It began to consume its audience. The young listeners who might have followed Monroe and his peers were now following artists like Presley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Carl Perkins. It was a transformation Monroe had helped set in motion without realizing it. The story of Blue Moon of Kentucky is of long-standing traditions suddenly colliding into a radically new style of music, ushering in a new era of American culture. And America's youth culture would start to rise until it became something nearly uncontainable. And it was one individual and one song that captured what the youth wanted more than anything: "Blowin' in the Wind."
Keep shining bright. I said blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone and live the blue. I said blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining.